Welcome to a new hour of CBS Sports HQ, delivered by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. I'm Jeremy St. Louis, happy to have you along. First Saturday of 2023, and that means it is the last Saturday of the NFL season in terms of the regular season. Week 18, it was up in the air if we were going to play this week, but here we are, good to go. 2 games Saturday, big one tonight. 7-9 Tennessee at 8-8 Jacksonville, and perhaps unbelievably, the AFC South is up for grabs, and the Jaguars are in that conversation. Jacksonville and Tennessee set to cap Saturday's NFL slate. These two teams, very different finishes to their seasons. The Jags have gone 5-1 in their last 6 games. The Titans, not Titans at all, losing 6 straight. And that means the winner of this game will win the division. The Jags can still get into the playoffs with a loss as a wild card team, but they need lots of help for that to happen. So Jags just focusing on win and in. And to discuss how they go about doing that, let's welcome in our guys, senior NFL writer Pete Prisco and former Super Bowl champion Ryan Harris. Jaguars beat the Titans back in Week 14 by 14 points. So Pete, tell us, what are the keys for the Jags this time around?
Well, if you remember that game, Evan Ingram had a monster day for Jacksonville. He caught 11 passes for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I think that was big for them on the offensive side of the ball. But if you remember defensively, Derrick Henry ran the ball that day. He ran for over 100 yards in the first quarter. He was doing his job. They turned the ball over. So for Jacksonville, the biggest, most important thing for them is to be able to stop the run. And I think when you look at the Tennessee Titans offensive line, it's been a disaster this year. Even when they were healthy, they weren't good. And now they're not healthy. They have one guy starting who started the season at his position. That's Aaron Brewer, the left guard, and he's about 280 pounds. I think that's a problem for Derrick Henry. Penetration, as I say, always rules the nation. And I think when you look at this, if they can penetrate and get their hands on his legs before you can get him going, I think they can stop Derrick Henry.
So Ryan, for you, how do the Jags get at the Titans here?
Number one, stop Derrick Henry. Absolutely. He's coming off too. Remember now, he's healthy. He was out last week, and Joshua Dobbs still had a dominant performance. So what can Joshua Dobbs do with a healthy Derrick Henry? The Jaguars have to stop option 1, 2, and 3 in that Tennessee offense. And then number 2, the Jaguars offensive line must protect Trevor Lawrence. Yes, that's in the pocket in passing games, as the Tennessee Titans defense has over 30 sacks on the season, closing in on 40. They can get after the quarterback with the best of them, but that also starts on 1st and 2nd down, having positive plays on 1st down. If it's 2nd and 7, can you make it 3rd and 4? Can you put together long, sustained drives through an offense that's playing together? If they can stop Derrick Henry rushing the ball and stay on schedule offensively, they are going to have a successful day and a fun story going on in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and to your point, Trevor Lawrence has the 4th best passer rating in the National Football League. So, Ryan, how impressed have you been with his play down the stretch here?
Incredibly impressed. And where it started for me was about 7 games ago. I mean, they've won 5 of their last 7, and through that time, he's thrown for almost 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 1 pick. So he's seeing the game differently. And I know from playing with Coach Doug Peterson that he instills belief in players. It's not just what play you like. It's, hey, I really like you on this play. I think it's going to help us win. You want to put it in? So everything that Doug Peterson's doing behind the scenes has led to the growth of this team, especially Trevor Lawrence these past 7 weeks.
Outside of the 1994 Eagles. Oh, sorry, Pete, you've got to follow. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Trevor Lawrence has been outstanding since the Denver game. Remember, they went to Denver and he didn't play well in that game. I mean, they went to London, he didn't play well against Denver, and they lost the game. Since then, he's been amazing. But the biggest key to his success is Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson does a great job calling plays. And so for that reason, I think one of the keys for Jacksonville here and for Trevor Lawrence, be who you are. And by that, I mean, don't get tight. Don't decide you're going to play a low-scoring game. Go play up-tempo. Spread the ball around like you've been doing. Dictate it. Then when you want to run it with ETN, you run it. But I think this is on Trevor Lawrence. This is on Doug Peterson. Be who you are. Spread that defense out and attack them in the passing game.
I should always know, let Pete Prisco follow up on any topic about the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, outside of the 1994 Eagles, the Titans are just the second team all-time to lose 6 straight after starting the season 7-3. So, Pete, what are their keys to win here?
Well, again, it goes back to, being able to run the ball. First and foremost, if you can't run the ball, Dobbs can get outside the pocket and create with his legs and make some plays in the passing game. But if you're not running it, they're not going to respect that, the bootleg. So I think the first and foremost, you have to be able to run. And that means Derrick Henry. You have to get him going early. And on the defensive side of the ball, they have to be game wreckers, and that means Jeffrey Simmons. He has the ability to be a game wrecker, both in the run game and the pass game. And remember, this is a guy who hasn't been healthy for a while. He looks like he's back healthy, at least close to 100% now, and that means he can really dictate what happens in the middle of the defense. He has to be a game wrecker. If he can be a game wrecker, I think that could cause a lot of problems for Trevor Lawrence in the offense.
For me, I look at what the Titans have, and in their run game with Derrick Henry, that has to hit. But Joshua Dobbs, can he perform at a high level? And oh, by the way, no penalties. Look, Joshua Dobbs had a fantastic game without Derrick Henry. He outplayed any of the other quarterbacks so far down the stretch for the Titans. Can he do it again in the biggest game of his life? Good news for him, he was able to get practice time as the starter these past week and a half. So that should help tremendously. But lastly, Pete and I, St. Louis, you'll know, the Titans have a major penalty issue. And if you want to win a big playoff-style game like this game is, you have to control penalties. Over 8 penalties last game for over 114 yards. That's not a team that's willing to do the little work to win. So they have to start with the run game. Get Joshua Dobbs to play the best game of his career and become one of the greatest stories in this year's playoffs. But then lastly, they got to cut down on the penalties or they will not make it to the playoff.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to do your things on the field, but you also got to do them between the ears. Jags 6.5-point favorites, the total sitting at 40. But we just want to pick to win the game outright. Ryan, who do you see winning the AFC South title tonight?
I'm taking my old ball coach, Doug Peterson, and a Trevor Lawrence who's gotten better with his footwork and distributing the football. Give me the Jags.
I'm with you. Look, there's bad history in this series, and I've witnessed a bunch of it myself. In 1999, Jacksonville was the better team. They went 14-0 against the rest of the league and lost to the Titans 3 times, including in the championship game. That will not happen here. Jacksonville, this is the biggest regular season game in franchise history. They will play like it. They win the game.
Jags can become the first team since the 2013 Chiefs to make the playoffs 1 year removed from having the #1 overall pick in the previous year's draft. Pete Prisco, Ryan Harris talking about that big game. They'd also go from worst to first, by the way, in the division for the very first time. Titans are chasing a 3rd straight division title for them, which would match their best stretch in history when they won 3 division crowns from 1960 through 62. Titans at Jaguars coming up in the late game tonight on Saturday.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.